Welcome to the South Ops Fire Weather Webcast for Wednesday, July 22nd. I'm your host, Kristen Stewart. We have a very different look on the visible satellite imagery this morning as compared to the last couple days. First and foremost, we have a return of the marine layer with widespread low clouds covering pretty much all of the coastal plains. This is all thanks to the enhanced onshore flow in close proximity of the remnants of Tropical Storm Elita. Since high pressure remains in control, these clouds should clear nicely by late this morning. Second, there is much less mid and high level cloud cover across the deserts. This is indicative of monsoonal activity beginning to wane over our region, with the bulk of it remaining to our north and east. The very persistent high pressure area that has been covering the majority of the U.S. has been quite a magnificent sight, and it is expected to continue to remain dominant through next week. After remaining mostly centered over the northern plains and northern Rockies for a while, it is now finally expected to shift back over the Four Corners and desert Southwest. With the center of the high moving closer to Southern California, the marine layer will become very shallow and temperatures across the coastal areas will be able to sharply rise, preventing much in the way of any cooler relief. Humidity may also become a bit lower away from any monsoon activity thanks to this positioning. Over the next few days, as the center of the high pressure moves closer to the desert Southwest, the flow aloft will become a little less favorable for monsoonal activity to develop. This is because the very favorable southeasterly flow that we have been seeing recently is starting to transition into more of a south to southwesterly flow, which pushes the monsoonal energy farther north and east. As a result, monsoonal thunderstorm activity will become more isolated in nature over the next several days. Nonetheless, there still will remain just enough moisture and instability to warrant some activity concentrated across the typical areas during the afternoon and evening hours, including along and east of the Sierra Crest, the southern and eastern mountains, and the deserts. We are not expecting any significant fire weather-related issues with these monsoonal storms, as they will likely remain on the wetter side. Though, of course, a few additional new fire starts are certainly possible from lightning ignitions, but the growth potential should be limited. The main story for the rest of this week and into the beginning of next week will be the heat. Temperatures across the region will remain around 5 to 10 degrees above seasonal averages each day through the period, with little overall daily change. Highs in the mid-90s to around 105 will be common across the valleys, 80s to low 90s common closer to the coast and for the lower mountains, and around 115 for the low desert. Higher than usual overnight temperatures will continue to be a factor as well, leading to a lack of cooler nighttime relief for most of the population. The added moisture in the atmosphere is preventing temperatures from cooling down very much overnight, giving us a high launching point for afternoon highs and increasing the risk of heat-related illness. Due to the hot afternoon temperatures and lack of overnight cooling, much of central and southern California is once again under heat advisories and extreme heat warnings through the rest of this week. Since California remains on the western edge of the high-pressure area, minimum humidity will remain mostly in the 12 to 25% range away from the coast and from monsoonal activity for the next couple days. As we go towards the weekend and early next week, the center of the high-pressure area may move a bit closer to California as it settles around the desert Southwest. This means that drier areas across the interior may lower into the 8 to 20% range this weekend into early next week. Areas of poor overnight recoveries may also become more prevalent across the low to mid elevations. With the hot and dry weather expected, ERCs will be on the rise across most areas as we finish off this week and move into next week. The only exception will be for the few areas that get continuous monsoonal activity, particularly the eastern Sierra. ERCs will be approaching the 90th to 97th percentiles across most PSAs by early next week, which we have not yet seen this year. This hot and dry pattern will also encourage steady declines in live fuel moistures, which are at or approaching critical levels in some drier areas. All in all, the overall flammability is generally on an upwards trend across the region, outside of the localized areas that have received beneficial moisture from the monsoon. After pretty mundane weather conditions kept our fire potential below seasonal normals recently, the extended period of hot and dry weather will bring potential back up to seasonal levels for the latter half of the week. Fire potential will likely rise above seasonal levels as we go into the weekend and early next week, but not significantly so since there are no critical winds or dry lightning expected. Despite the lack of critical fire weather conditions, the hot temperatures, long burn periods, and increasingly flammable fuels will bring the potential for significant fire growth on any new or existing ignitions. So things are probably going to get pretty busy very soon. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Our next webcast will be on Thursday, July 23rd. Have a fantastic day.